Welcome back, everybody, to Zlatan's Fight Picks. Today we're going to do the recap of Rozenstuik versus Almeida from last Saturday. So let's get to it. Which direction are we going to go? How are we going to do it? Let's start off. We'll go off with we'll do it a little different. We'll go from most favored to least. So we got the board here. We did pretty good. We've made 1, 2, 3. Technically 4 mistakes, but I would count it 3 mistakes just because one of them was just an outright crazy disqualification, penalty filled fest. And the fighter we picked, unfortunately, was clearly winning, but anyways, ended up losing it in a weird matchup. But we'll start off with the most favorite, Almeida. It was easy. This guy is looking better and better. You know what? I was always questioning if he's taking like a lot of shots, but he's not taking any shots at all. And he's getting guys to the ground, and he's so strong. He doesn't even, he just has to get his hands on you, especially around the feet, and he's taking you down. So he looked amazing. And really looking forward to his next fight. And he's probably going to get a title fight right after that. And he deserves it. He should just get a title fight and get this over with. Of all the styles, I think we're going to give John Jones the toughest matchup, because John Jones is a great wrestler. And as he showed with Cyril Gane, his threat of wrestling, improves his striking. And with Almeida, I don't know how that's going to work out for him. He could still end up wrestling Almeida and taking him down to the ground and etc., or stay on the feet and finally test Almeida. That's going to be an amazing matchup. We'll break that down if it ever happens. But nevertheless, Almeida looked fantastic. Really like that pick. Second most likely pick, Alberg, looked fantastic. Totally destroyed his opponent. The guy is definitely, he made he had a bad loss where he kind of gassed out on one of his fights, but ever since then, he looks really good. The guy is definitely going to be stepping up in the next level of competition, and I think he's going to do well. I don't know how far he's going to go, but he looks pretty good so far. It's going to be exciting. He's a fun guy to watch, loves to strike. He's just not a boring fighter. So, Almeida, even though he's a submission guy, he's not a boring fighter either. He's a lot of action, and he mainly because he finishes fights. Nevertheless, moving on. Williams was a confident pick for us. Was a high level of confidence. Was it the fact that we're so confident in Williams, or we're not confident in what's his name? Who do you fight again? Sherman, yeah. So Sherman made a good account of himself. It wasn't a total domination fest, for the odds minus 400. That's a little ridiculous. But everybody knew Williams was going to win. But the fight does not show a minus 400 victory. But we had to go with it because it was obviously Williams was going to win one way or another, close or not close. He was going to win this fight. So he did. So that was a good fight. Morono. We picked Morono. We had a high degree of probability on him. The only question mark I had, I think, was at the weigh-ins. He looked really sucked out and drained. And I just kind of highlighted that, saying, you know what? This guy, we're expecting him to win. He should win, but just be cautious. So I put the brackets around it. But nevertheless, he did win. What a phenomenal submission. Like his front head and arm choke. Well, he did it against a guy who normally can defend chokes really well, and had a fairly good accounting of himself. But Morono, and then in the striking battle, he was doing pretty good. But as soon as he got Morono to the ground, Morono cinched up that choke. Like, it was amazing. Like, that's one of the best chokes I've seen. Like, just going back from recent memory, like just how way he cinched it up. A lot of times people in those head and arm chokes like that get out of it. Like I would say 80% of the time they get out of it. But he cinched it up really tight. and against a old pro like Means, I mean, that's saying something. Nevertheless, we won. So we had next fight, Battle. Oh man, high degree of probability, 56%. I was saying this, I mean, I just couldn't see Battle losing this fight, but I expected it to be a little closer than that. And I didn't expect them both to be so reckless, but nevertheless, Battle ended up tagging Green. But I think Green just went out and said, you know what, we're going to do this right now and get this done. And that's what happened, and he got caught. Battle had the better counter strikes, better straighter shots, not as looping, and he connected. It was who's going to connect first. And fortunately for us, it went the right way. So Battle won. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're running the parlay, it was a 5-leg parlay. You end up winning all your money back if you had run continuous, depending on how many parlays you did, or come out ahead. Nevertheless, it was not a bad leg. I mean, we would have had one more leg, and here, Yan Kim. I mean, the first round, I gave the first round to Yan Kim, but apparently 2 out of 3 judges gave it to Baum. I don't know why. I think it was Yan Kim took her down, and I think she might have reversed her just at the end of the round, and I don't know why they gave it to Baum. I mean, even the striking battle was being won by Yan Kim before that even went to the ground. Like, Yan Kim won that round anyways. So, needless to say, Yan Kim in the second round can't stand Mandy Baum, and she was winning the second round, clearly, and Mandy Baum ended up reversing her at the last 30 seconds or whatever. And when the round ended, Baum was getting up, and I think Yan Kim, I mean, Baum wasn't getting up that slow. I mean, it only took her like 1 second, maybe 2 seconds, and Yan Kim pushed her on the chest. I mean, she didn't hurt her. It wasn't like a strike, but it was just kind of pushed her off so she can get up. Nevertheless, she shouldn't have done that. That was just a totally stupid move. But I don't think the ref should have taken a point away. I think he should have given her warning. She didn't hurt Baum. Like, she just pushed her on the chest. Anyways, so she lost a point there. So that was a round that was obviously even. So in the third round, somehow Baum is on the fence, and then she gets kneed. I think it was kneed when she was on the ground to the side of her face, and then she says she couldn't see. And Yan Kim was clearly winning the fight. Her coaches were yelling at her, "Stay on the feet and push away, get away, don't stay on." And Yan Kim, for some reason, wanted to get her to the ground, and trying to get her to the ground. And Baum was up against the fence, trying to stay on her feet, grounded but not going down. And maybe through frustration, who knows, Yan Kim, all of a sudden he hits her and knees her right in the head. Jesus. And I mean, what a moron. I mean, I just thought she would have had more control over this. And then all of a sudden she loses another point. So that round all of a sudden is even. And nevertheless, there was a split decision. The fight had to be stopped because Baum said she couldn't continue. Baum looked terrible. She's not a good fighter. Yan Kim, what a disappointment. Just in how many points do you need deducted? It was just ridiculous. But nevertheless, the split decision went to Baum. For some reason, 2 of the judges gave Baum the first round. It was a disaster. We wasted too much time even describing this idiot. So, maybe she gets cut. Good riddance. Just pissed off, eh? And Baum doesn't even, if she deserves to get cut, Baum deserves to get cut too, because she's absolutely terrible. This girl was kicking her ass, right? So, anyways. Levy had that pick. The fight was canceled. That didn't count. Smith. Wow. I was questioning, Walker's durability going into 3 rounds, sometimes fading and sometimes chinny. But, and Smith, he didn't look great on the scales. He looked a little old, whatever. But he made a decent accounting of himself. And, of course, he just got kind of broke as the third round went on. And he just looked old, even though he's not old. He looks worn out. and Walker looked pretty good, and he ended up winning the fight. You know, there was a part of me that wanted to go with Walker, but I was just questioning his durability, which obviously he was fine, and just that Smith would be able to tag him, and Smith did tag him a couple times, and I still don't think Walker takes a great punch, by no means. But yeah, unfortunately, Smith didn't come through. He's definitely on his way down. The trajectory for Walker is up. I don't know how he's going to do when he reaches some more competitive fighters. I don't think he's going to win, but I think he's going to get those shots now that he beat Smith. But again, he beat kind of a fading away Smith. Next fight, Brown. Well, it was a great fight while it lasted. It's an OG fight. You know, Brown and McGee, and yeah, I mean it was a good fight. We expected Brown to be the more dangerous striker, and he was, and he did great, and he won, and it was a good move on our part because he was an underdog. So actually, Battle was the first underdog that won, and then Brown was an underdog we picked that won. Next fight, Rodriguez. Well, you know, I guess. I don't know if I was hoping that Gary would be exposed because I just somehow don't like him. But, I mean, he looked really good in the fight. I was really worried about his kicks. I thought Rodriguez still would be able to pull this off just because he's dealt with other kickers before. But Gary looked really good. His striking looked good, and he had fantastic kicks. And the kicks were right on point. And Rodriguez just didn't have very many answers for that. He's definitely getting a little older. I mean, these young guys are coming up. They're, you know, with multi-talented with their limbs, and yeah, he ended up getting caught. And Rodriguez doesn't really take a punch really well either. I mean, when he got punched, it was pretty much over. You know, he just pretty much turtled up, and I don't think he takes a really good punch anyway. But yeah, Gary looked really good, and I'm sorry I didn't buy into the hype train before this. Nevertheless, as far as like the parlay goes, we would have got stopped at Yang Kim. One way or another, we would have got stopped, even though she should have won. So yeah, Rodriguez ended up losing. Great fight for Ian Gary. You know, definitely going to stop fading this guy. So we'll see what happens with the next fight. You know, Rose Clark, wow. You know, like I had said during the evaluation, I don't like Rose Clark. I don't think she's very good. It's just that we didn't know anything from the other girl. Her record looked extremely padded. She fought really nobodies to get to the UFC, and that worried me. So I kind of went just with that, picking Rose Clark. But overall, Rose Clark is not good. Not a fan. Would always bet against Rose Clark. But, you know, it was a little tricky because they throw in somebody who's never ever been in the UFC and didn't really fight a really good caliber of people before she got to the UFC. But Lisboa looked great, you know, really good striker. And she, even before this, when she first made her debut in MMA, she looked really good with her striking against Dern before she got submitted, which is why I kind of bet against her because of Rose Clark's, you know, ground game, right? But Lisboa proved that, you know, she has good takedown defense. She's got good strikes, and she can obviously pull out a submission. Mind you, it's not saying much against Rose Clark. You know, it's because she's not a really good fighter at all. And I don't think she's in the UFC. I think they cut her. Well, she deserves it probably, right? So, nevertheless, moving on. The 50-50. And again, you know, it's one of those things. I said bet on both. I had run my parlay with both. So I made a correct, I put a correct mark there. But yeah, I mean, Andrade won the first 2 rounds, and Stamen started pouring it on in the 3rd round. I mean, you know, there you go. It's one of those tough decisions. But definitely Andrade did win the fight. There was no doubt about it. Stamen could have maybe started earlier, but Andrade was very dangerous, and he had a lot of really powerful strikes. So it was a good fight. Really enjoyed it. It was correct in kind of going both ways on it because, you know, Stamen starts a little earlier. and poured it on a little earlier, maybe in the second round, it would have been gone the other way. It's just one of those fights. I think Stamen should have started a little earlier, but Andrade looked like he faded it as well and got tired in the third round. Nevertheless, overall we did pretty good, and it was a lot better than the week before. Oh man, I want to forget that week. That was a terrible week. But the moment I didn't get very many views on this, mind you, I did put this video out Friday late afternoon. So it was the latest I've ever put a video out. Maybe deep down inside I didn't want very many views because of that jinx I got where I get a lot of views and the picks go south. So I don't know. Just saying that. Nevertheless, today is Thursday. Tomorrow I'm going to be making the picks for this next card coming up, which is going to be Dern versus Hill. That'll come out tomorrow, hopefully during the day. It's taken a little while. There's a few fights that I'm really dwelling on, really close fights, and watching a lot of tape, and definitely a lot of close fights. I mean, it could be a huge payday if they're picked correctly, just because of the odds, right? They're usually pretty close, and pick a couple of underdogs and it'll be great. Nevertheless, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 correct. Not bad, but definitely an improvement from last week. On that note, thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. If you enjoy the content, get notifications. It won't hurt, but it'll definitely help me and the algorithm. Until then, don't forget also that we have the Bet Online link on the description, and buy me a coffee on the description. Feel free to do that. So thank you very much for joining me. We'll see you guys tomorrow.